Hello everyone. I'm going to talk through Acheson's chapter 5 called Research about the Current Critical Assessment of Literary Works. There's a quiz on this, and I hope I'll help you with that as well as approaching this sort of research. So far we've looked at how to use reference works through the library and how to research social and historical contexts with Acheson's guidance. So this chapter takes us into a deeper dive into literary works. You will be asked to look up critical articles for paper 4, and I'll talk about that more later. You will ground your creative paper in understanding of what is happening in the work you create a scene for. So, looking at secondary sources with regard to literature, those include critical essays. Critical essays are written by professors, instructors, grad students, and independent scholars who have worked for many years and worked through long processes of research, writing, revision. So publishing and having an article accepted for publication is like earning a medal for them. It's like getting a huge award. So why so critical? Why do we refer to these things as critics? Critics are those who analyze. They're not necessarily negative, picking apart and finding the bad things about something, the way we think of being critical of someone, trying to expose all their flaws. An article or paper should acknowledge flaws, but it's not necessarily negative. The critical means that it's looking at, examining, assessing value, and looking for connections between literary works and themes and topics, developments of ideas. What a critical article does is create relationships between new and old ideas. Someone had an idea some time ago, a scholar reads it, understands it, and sees that there are new ways of considering the work that previous scholar had. So a critical article includes a lot of technical vocabulary. Literary theory draws from many other disciplines. And you can read the book and see what those are, but the technical vocabulary can sometimes be overwhelming, but you're not expected to understand all of those things when you read a work like this. A critical article is about advancing knowledge, helping scholars get their ideas out there and contribute. It records the decoding of the record of human experience as it is contained in literature. I like that explanation by Acheson. It's on page 70. So you'll only get a start at learning terminology and get a feel for where things go. And so we'll major on articles from encyclopedias and other compendia of scholarly ideas rather than delving much into journals, but you need to know about these things. So a peer-reviewed journal, as you go on in your area of study, your major, you'll find out more about peer-reviewed journals. These journals evaluate articles according to merit. They're double-blind refereed. That means that the person who reads and evaluates the article doesn't see the name of the person who wrote it and the person who wrote it will never see the name of the person who read and evaluated it. That's what double-blind means. So what is assessed by the referees? Those are the people who read and assess them. They look at the quality of the scholarship. They look at originality, importance of the findings of the critic, the areas of knowledge to which they contribute, and the quality of the writing. So quality writing is important in every area. And this includes writing in areas of science, of nursing, of education. Your writing always will contribute to the way people evaluate and assess your work. So a scholar's publication process includes years of training, heavy revision before being published and before being accepted and after being accepted by a journal. So editing by the scholar and other professionals will contribute to that process. And just submitting to that demanding process is big, ponderous. So where to find these resources that people have published? Go to your library with the catalogs and resources there, not the infosphere. These types of articles sometimes can be found on the internet, but not always. Usually they'll be, sometimes scholars will publish them on their own website or a link after they've published, after the journal has published them. But it's better to go to the actual publication through the library. So don't go to the internet if you can help it, the infosphere. Get some help from librarians if you need to. And there are also how-to videos on the library site for narrowing searches, looking through databases, and so forth. So you can go to the library's homepage to find some of those helpful videos. And again, I want to stress that this goes for research in your content areas as well. Your major, be it business, finance, nursing, education, or others. So how do you search? Don't be led to search by the secondary materials themselves. Decide your topic before going searching. I can't tell you how many rabbit trails I've gone on. I've learned a lot from those rabbit trails, but they don't necessarily get me to my goal when I'm doing research. You should come after your reading and rereading of the primary work with a very good idea of what you're looking for. So look up for articles about the work. Don't expect to just type in the title in the online catalog or a Galileo search and find anything. I've done that many times and nothing. It's necessary to narrow your search and get more specific, because it's like going to an airplane, the Atlanta airport, and walking in and thinking you're going to walk straight to your plane. We all know that that doesn't happen. You have to know where you're going. So for a reliable source is JSTOR, a search engine through an online search engine through the library. And I'll show you how to go to one. Start with an advanced search. Put the title of the work or your author's name in quotes, and then specify that it is the title of the work. It should be in the title, or the topic. It should be the topic of something you're looking at, and then what you want. Okay, here's a screenshot of my doing an advanced search, and I'm just including the word Sir Gawain because those are so unique. And then in that all fields, I will specify something more. And I want to look at criticism. So I just put that in the second keyword box and decided I'll see what I get. So this is the first result that I got. So you can see we start with an article, Current State of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight Criticism. That sounds wonderful, right? But it's 1993. So I probably need to look at something more recent. And if I were going to do an article or a paper on Sir Gawain, I would have narrowed my thoughts. Now the one I'm looking at here, even though it's 1993, this is kind of a timeless work, and it wouldn't hurt you to look at that article as you're researching for your project and see if there's anything there without wading in too deep that you want to consider. Medieval misogyny and Gawain's outbursts against women, that one would only apply if you're doing the section in which he rails about how women ruin everything. But most of you aren't. So ways to narrow a search of this kind. You can find additional topics. You can narrow by the dates. So if you want something from the last 5 years, for example, you can narrow those dates. You can do more particulars about the topic. You could do Sir Gawain and misogyny, for example, or Sir Gawain and structure, to look at the poetic structure. But the best guide is your own ideas. As Acheson has emphasized every time we look at her work, reading and rereading, catalog or organizing your evidence is the best way to develop your own ideas. And you should come to your search, and this, as I said, goes for any field of study. Bring your own ideas to the search. Don't go in blind. Acheson says on page 76 that the reasons for looking at secondary works and focusing your findings will help you confirm and strengthen ideas, feelings, and insights you've already had, enhance and supplement them, give you new knowledge, and may correct misunderstandings or challenge perceptions. It'll help you stage the argument you will make by looking at how other people do it, and it can help you challenge ideas that you don't find persuasive in order to strengthen your own argument. So you can refute what other people have said if you are writing an original article on something. Some of you might be in biology and create a poster. These your research will inform your work in any experiment, and you'll be directing yourself to toward an idea that you want to confirm or strengthen and test. So again, these are all applicable across content areas. Acheson encourages you to trust your judgment, but she gives an example of a time when she dismissed an article that ultimately became valuable to her. So keep an open mind, and if something pops up again, an article or a piece of information pops up again, consider it. So how do you know when you've done enough research? Consider the assignment you are writing for. As I said, you won't need to do much research for this class because it's not the focus of our work. The focus of our work has to do with exposure, learning forms, becoming familiar with research. So consider the assignment and what your instructor is requiring. Make sure you read and reread the assignment. Consider the quality of the sources. Have you gathered enough quality sources? Maybe some of your sources are not the greatest quality, but they give you 1 or 2 pieces of information or ideas that are helpful. So do you have enough quality sources, and do you have enough to support your claims in your piece? Acheson's directions for taking notes are really good for any research you do. She gets the bibliography information, and often if you're doing a library search and online search, you can copy and paste citation information, and that's very easy to put at the top of a document. Name the file with the topic and the author of the essay's last name to keep in your folder about this assignment or paper. Be consistent and thorough in whatever systems you use and processes you do. She often puts a summary of the article at the top of the document, and then of course more notes about her findings in the document. She says that managing time is important. She emphasizes a third of the process being given to reading and rereading the work you're writing about. So as you do your Gowan project, for example, read and reread the section, the passage you're doing. Then look at critical materials or other resources. Your research doesn't have to be into critical materials for that project, but you should read some background information, some research that will inform maybe your understanding of the Christian year in the Middle Ages, or the significance of numbers, or the legends about Morgan Le Fay. Something is part of your reading critical materials. Then a third of your time writing and creating that presentation. But that's just an example of working on a critical essay. So why does it matter? You're not doing a lot of research for this course, but you will be doing a lot of research in other courses, and you're establishing habits of academic scholarship and professional work. That's important at this point. If you ever come back to any research, you want it to be organized so you can use it. You should be able to use research and work you do in courses in multiple contexts. And that's something I'm asking you to build toward. Use research and writing and analysis you've done early in the semester in the project you do, the paper you do for the end. So what's next? You're doing this project. It requires at least one reputable source and maybe dipping into a critical article. That would be impressive. I would commend that. And in paper number 4, which is at the end of the semester, you'll be creating a scene. Paper number 3 requires close reading, not research. But paper number 4 will require a little bit of research into a critical reading of a work from this semester. Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you.